Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Yes, Maharaj, we are broadcasting.
Shad Goswami Ashtakam, please.
Yes.
Here we have a beautiful Ashtakam written by Srinivasa Acharya, glorifying the six Goswamis of Vrindavan. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Nilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Krishna, you'll be on mute, but you can sing along. Krishna Kirtana Gananartana Paro Premam Vritambo Nidhi Tira Tira Jana Priyo Priyakuro Nirmatsaro Pujito Shri Chaitanya Kripavaro Bhuvi Nana Shastra Vichara Naika Nipuno Shadharma Shanstapaka Lokanamita Karino Tribhuvane Manyo Sharanyakaro Radha Krishna Padara Vinda Bhajana Nandina Madhaliko Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Shri Jiva Gopalako Shri Chaitanya Prabharo Bhuvi Bhuvo Shri Gauranga Gunarnu Varnana Vido Shata Samvidyan Vito Papo Tapa Nikrintano Tanubritam Govinda Ganamrita Anandam Buri Vardanaika Nipuna Kaivalya Nishtarako Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Shri Jiva Gopalako Tyaktva Turnama Shesha Mandalapati Shrenim Sadatu Chava Buddhavadina Ganesha Kaukarunaya Kaupina Kandashrito Gopi Bhavara Samrita Dilahari Kalola Magno Mohu Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghuyaga Shri Jiva Gopalako Puja Kokila Hansa Sarasagana Kirye Mayura Kule Nana Ratna Nibadha Mula Vitapa Shri Yukta Vrindavane Radha Krishna Maharnisham Prabhajato Jivarta Doyo Muda Bande Rupa Sanatano Raghugo Shri Jiva Gopalako Sankhya Purvakanama Gana Natubi Kalavasani Krita Nidrahara Vihara Kari Vijatao Chatyanta Dinao Chayao Radha Krishna Gunasmriter Madhurima Nandena Samohito Bande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Shri Jiva Gopalako Radha Kunda Tate Kalinda Tanaya Tire Chabam Shivate Premon Madhava Shara Shesha Dashaya Grastao Pramatao Sada Gayanto Chakada Hare Gunavaram Baba Vibhuto Buddha Bande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Shri Jiva Gopalako He Radhe Vrajadevike Chalalite He Nanda Suno Kutaha Shri Govardhana Kalpa Parapatale Kalindi Vanye Kuta Goshanta Viti Savato Vrajapure Keder Mahavibalo Bande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Shri Jiva Gopalako Bande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Shri Jiva Gopalako Gaur Premanande Shad Goswami Ashtakam Ki Shad Goswami Ki Gaur Premanande Nitai Gaura Haribo 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo 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 Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namashreshtram Manamapi Shachiputramatra Sarupam Shri Rupam Tasyagrajam Uruparim Maturim Goshtavatim Radha Kundam Girivaramoho Radhika Madhavasham Prapto Yasya Pratija Kripaya Shri Gurum Tam Natosmi He Guru Gyanadadina Bando Swananda Dato Karanaika Sindo Vrindavana Sinahita Avatar Prasida Radha Pranaya Pracharo Ajanulambita Bujo Kanakavadato Sankirtanai Kapitaro Kamalaya Taksho Vishvamaro Dvijavaro Yugadharma Palo Vande Jagapriyakaro Karunavataro Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpadurubhascha kripasindhaveva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and to all the previous acharyas, and to all the devotees who have joined us today, because you are Vaishnavas and therefore the most worshipable in the three worlds. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 14, Ideal Family Life. And we're at starting up at text number 1. Sri Yudhishthir is having a conversation with Narada Muni. And Narada Muni is explaining the ways to live here in this world so that one can be balanced enough to practice spiritual life. He describes Varnashrama. And here he's describing, is Narada, the Grahastha Ashrama. Shri Yudhishthira Uvacha Grahastha etam pandavim Vidana yena chandas jasa yadya deva rishe bruhi madrisho griha mudati. So Yudhishthir, King Yudhishthir, Shri Yudhishthir Uvacha, King Yudhishthir said, Grahastha, a person living with his family. Etam, this, the process mentioned in the previous chapter. Previous chapter is known as the behavior of a perfect person. Padavim, position of liberation. Vidana, according to the instructions of Vedic scripture. Yena, by which, cha, also, anyasa, easily, yayat, may get, deva rishe, O great sage among the demigods, bruhi, kindly explain, madrisha, such as me, griha mudhati, completely ignorant of the goal of life. Maharaj Yudhishthir inquired from Narada Muni, O my lord, O great sage, kindly explain how we who are staying at home without knowledge of the goal of life may also easily attain liberation according to the instructions of the Vedas. Purport: in the previous chapters, the great sage Narada has explained how a brahmachari, a vanaprastha, and a sannyasi should act. He first explained the dealings of a brahmachari, vanaprastha, and sannyasi, because these three ashramas or statuses of life are extremely important for fulfillment of the goal of life. One should note that in the brahmachari ashrama, vanaprastha ashrama, and sannyas ashrama, there is no scope for sex life, whereas sex is allowed in grahastha life under regulations. Narada Muni therefore first described brahmacharya, vanaprastha, and sannyas because he wanted to stress that sex is not at all necessary, although one who absolutely requires it is allowed to enter the grahastha life or household life, which is also regulated by the Shastras and Guru. Yudhishthir Maharaj could understand all this. Therefore, as a grahastha, he presented himself as griha mudadi, one who is completely ignorant of the goal of life. A person who remains a householder in family life is certainly ignorant of life's goal. He is not very much advanced in intelligence. As soon as possible, one should give up his so-called comfortable life at home and prepare to undergo austerity or tapasya. Tapo divyam putraka. According to the instructions given by Rishabhadeva to his sons, we should not create a so-called comfortable situation, but must prepare to undergo austerity. This is how a human being should actually live to fulfill life's ultimate goal. Nayam deho bhajam nriloke kashtan kama marhate vidbhujamye tapo divyam putraka yena sattvam shudyat yasmat brahma saukyam tonantam. Lord Rishabhadeva, in his teachings to his 100 sons, says that dogs and hogs can get sense gratification. So humans shouldn't try for sense gratification, but instead they should take up tapasya, but not any kind of tapasya, tapo divyam, divine tapasya, so that they can get purified, shudyat brahma saukyam tvanantam, and attain the greatest happiness that goes on forever. And here also in the word vidina, according to the instructions of Vedic scripture, human life is meant to be regulated by scripture. There's Shastra and there's Shastra. Shastra means the Vedic literature, and Shastra means the sword or a weapon. So if we're not amenable to following the Shastra, the scriptures, then we are ruled by the sword. We're punished by material nature. And therefore, one who becomes intelligent knows that I should live by certain regulations given in the Shastra, and then my life will be perfect. So this is the question that Maharaj Yudhishthira is asking to Narada Muni. And in asking the question, he presents himself as being ignorant. He claims that I don't know anything about this, and therefore sets the example for the way in which one should approach one's spiritual master. So a similar way in which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu presented himself before his spiritual master. He said, as I'm a murka or fool, and therefore whatever my guru tells me, I accept. In fact, his guru told him, you're a fool, and you should simply take this teaching from me, coming straight from the Vedic scriptures. And so Mahaprabhu showed the example, and so here is Yudhishthira, that one should approach not thinking I already know something, but with an open mind. Text number 2. Sri Narada Uvacha, Griheshwa Bastito Rajan, Kriya Kurvan Yatochita, Vasudevanurupan, Vasudevar Panam Sakshad, Upasita Mahamunim. Sri Narada Muni said, Griheshu, at home, Avastita, staying. A householder generally stays home with his wife and children. Rajan, O king, Kriya, activities, Kurvan, performing, Yatochita, suitable, as instructed by the Guru and Shastra, Vasudeva, unto Lord Vasudeva, Arpanam, dedicating, Sakshad, directly, Upasita, should worship Mahamunim, O great devotees, the great devotees. And the translation is Narada Muni replying to Yudhishthira, and he says, my dear king, those who stay at home as householders must act to earn their livelihood, and instead of trying to enjoy the results of their work themselves, they should offer these results to Krishna. Vasudeva, Narada Muni replied, my dear king, those who stay at home as householders must act to earn their livelihood, and instead of trying to enjoy the results of their work themselves, they should offer these results to Krishna, Vasudeva. How to satisfy Vasudeva in this life can be perfectly understood through the association of great devotees of the Lord. Purport, the format for Grihastha life should be dedication to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Bhagavad Gita 6.1, it is said, Anashrita karma palam, karyam karma karotiya, sasanyasi cha yogi cha, naniragnir nachakriya. One who is unattached to the fruits of his work and who works as he is obligated is in the renounced order of life, and he is the true mystic, not he who lights no fire and performs no work. Whether one acts as a brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, or sannyasi, he must act only for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, Krishna, the son of Vasudeva. This should be the principle for everyone's life. Narada Muni has already described the principles of life for a brahmachari, vanaprastha, and sannyasi, and now he is describing how a grihastha should live. The basic principle is to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The science of satisfying the Supreme Lord can be learned as described here. Sakshat Upasita Mahamunim. The word Mahamunim refers to great saintly persons or devotees. Saintly persons are generally known as munis, or thoughtful philosophers concerned with transcendental subject matters, as Mahamunin refers to those who have not only thoroughly studied the goal of life, but who are actually engaged in satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. These persons are known as devotees. Unless one associates with devotees, one cannot learn the science of Vasudevanurupa, Vasudevarpana, or dedicating one's life to Vasudeva, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In India, the principles of this science were followed strictly. Even 50 years ago, I saw that in the villages of Bengal and the suburbs of Calcutta, people engaged in hearing Srimad Bhagavatam daily when all their activities ended, or at least in the evening before going to bed. Everyone would hear the Bhagavatam. Bhagavat classes were held in every village, and thus people had the advantage of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, which describes everything about the aim of life, liberation, or salvation. This will be clearly explained in the next verses. So, what a nice phrase, Vasudevarpanam, the ways of offering everything to Vasudeva in one's life. Then Prabhupada mentions elsewhere, it's not that when you offer everything to Vasudeva, you're then bereft, because he gives it all back. And what's more, it's all coming from him. Therefore, Sri Upanishad says, Tena tyaktena bhunjita, realize you've got a quota already set aside for you. And Narada Muni, in 5th chapter of Bhagavatam, 1st canto, says, Tasyaiva heto prayateta kovido na labhyate yad brahmatam upariyada ta labhyate dukkavad anyata sukham kalena sarvatra gapira ramhasa. There's a way in which, by the momentum of your past karma, you're going to get certain kinds of things anyway. And what to speak of those who are Vasudevarpanam, or offering everything to Krishna. Krishna says in the Gita that yoga kshema mahamyaham, to such persons, I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. So one needn't be overly concerned with simple maintenance, but should be concerned with Vasudevarpanam, how to offer what I'm getting to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It comes back as prasadam anyway. What's more, the kind of wealth that one develops, if given to Vasudeva, becomes an eternal credit for the soul who's the giver. Whereas if it simply is eroded or it's taken away, then one doesn't get any credit because money comes and goes. It's chanchala, Lakshmi. Further, the way in which to develop these qualities, it's not so easy because there's a natural tendency to be attached, and not only attached to family members and so forth, but also to be attached to sinful activities. And so how does one get free from these tendencies? The answer is given in this verse, Upasita Mahamunin. One should associate with great devotees of the Lord. And if you associate with great devotees of the Lord, the effect of that association is that you naturally begin to follow them, to emulate them, and to hear what they say. By hearing the vibration of the great souls, for instance, Narada, when he was a child, became completely purified, and he rendered a little service because he was attracted to them, and then he became a great soul. This is the root cause of devotional service, hearing from purified, pure devotees, and also serving them. That's the way in which one makes gradual progress in the path of devotional service. Satam prasangam mamavirya samvido bhavanti hritkarna rasayana katha tajjoshanat ashvapavargavartmani shararatir bhaktir anukramishvati. It's the way in which one hears wonderful sound vibrations that come from the pure devotees, and by hearing those sounds, one changes one's mind about staying in the material world and starts to endeavor to go back to the spiritual world. And then step by step, by the association of those great souls, one makes progress. Devananda Pandit, who was teaching Bhagavatam in Navadvip, was actually not a devotee or a pure devotee at all. In fact, he was, from an intellectual point of view, presenting Bhagavatam. And one day when Srivas Pandit had entered into his class to listen and was feeling so much ecstasy just from hearing the verses of the Bhagavatam that he showed symptoms of ecstasy in the class. And some of the students of Devananda unceremoniously grabbed Srivasa and threw him out of the class. And Devananda didn't stop him because he didn't know any better. And later on, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu severely chastised Devananda and told him that he was a great offender. He didn't know anything about Bhagavatam. He had no business reading Srimad Bhagavatam, what to speak of teaching it, and so forth. And by the chastisement of Mahaprabhu and then subsequent association with Vrikeshwar Pandit, who was a pure devotee of the Lord, he became attached to Vrikeshwar, actually. And by association with Vrikeshwar Pandit, then Devananda also became a great devotee. So we see this is the process for advancement. Now we'll take a few reflections or questions from what we've read or heard so far. So Shraddha will make it so you can unmute yourself. So just unmute and then ask a question.
Dear participants, you can unmute yourself and share your reflections so far.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hansapriya.
Hare Krishna, bro. I like the point you made about the attachment to not just the family members, but to activities as well.
Means activities, what kind of activities? Like sinful activities. Is that what you said? Hansapriya, you still there? Shraddha, are we having technical difficulties?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay. I was just saying that attachment to sinful activities is pretty scary because it's a slippery slope. Little by little, it just creeps into something, such a big thing that by the time you realize that, you know, it has taken so much space in your mind and in your day, and you know, with the family, then, you know, somebody can at least come snaps you and wake you up. But
Yes, that's true. Sorry,
I
I'm just pulling out a verse as you're speaking. Sorry.
So I was just saying that, you know, the family, we think that only family members are the worst attachment, but actually it's, you know, much more is the sinful activities that we think that they're silent, but they're pretty violent.
Yeah, that's a good point. This is a verse to verify this principle about the nature of sinful activities. It's in the 11th canto, 11.5.11. Loke vyavaya misha mudya seva nitya hijantur nahi tatra chodana vyavastitis teshu vivaha jagna suragrahar ashu nivritir ishta. Translation is, and again, here is Narada teaching. In this case, it's Narada to Vasudeva. In this material world, the conditioned soul is always inclined to sex, meat eating, and intoxication. Therefore, religious scriptures never actually encourage such activities. Although the scriptural injunctions provide for sex through sacred marriage, for meat eating through sacrificial offerings, and for intoxication through the acceptance of ritual cups of wine, such ceremonies are meant for the ultimate purpose of renunciation. So this is the the teaching of Narada. It's a famous verse. It's quoted quite frequently. Prabhupada brings it up, just to how it's the default mode in the material world. So if you don't have a program that's meant to refine and improve yourself, then it's quite natural to degrade into sinful activities, which become vikarma. They actually entangle us more in the material world. And so people need to have a program through which they can elevate themselves gradually, especially association with devotees and bhajana kriya, a series of tat karma pravartana activities given by the previous acharyas that one can engage one's senses in. For instance, we may notice now when staying at home in one place that it's important to stay regulated. For instance, if you have deities in your home, you should worship the deities, because there's a natural joy that awakens in your heart when you see the deities. And you go, hey, you're here? I can stay here. It's no problem. If you're here, I'll be here. And that they tell us, through the heart, that when you're worshiping them, that hey, everything's all right. Just worship me. We'll take care of it. And then having a steady hearing and chanting program is very important. One devotee who is overseas, and we're trying to get him back. Nirkula was on the phone for hours this morning trying to get the last flight out, and lots of things. And one of his mentors in India told him, because he was trying to make a decision what to do, and he was finding it hard. So one of his mentors said, "Did you finish your rounds?" And he said, "Not yet." And he said, "Finish your rounds." And when he finished his rounds, he said, "Now I know what to do." So unless we finish our rounds, we won't know what to do. And unless we hear Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam every day, we won't have good decision-making capabilities, and we won't feel whole. So it's very, very important to have a steady program that we work every single day. It's important to count things so that you know you're making progress. Prabhupada used to say, drops a day wear the stone away. Something that I've done for some time, and it helps me immensely, is when I'm, now see, this is a series of shlokas that I'm learning for my Bhaktivedanta test. I don't know if these will all be on there, but I'm going to learn them all anyway. And then I put the goal on the top of the page that I'll chant this set of shlokas 108 times. So it'll be 108 days. And every time I do a full set, I just write down the date. So I have it right here. And then I chip away a little bit at a time. And once you start getting some, continuum of numbers here, you start to feel like, well, I'm not giving it up because I got to make it to 108. By the time you do that, then you'll find that the verses start to carry you. Like people used to say in the airports all the time, it's like, I can't carry this book. And you say, don't worry, the book will carry you. So in the same way, this investment we make in the transcendental sound every day is vital for our health. Otherwise, we'll naturally fall down into the lower modes of nature. And just working isn't enough. I mean, people go crazy if they're not working, and it's important for humans to work. They can't even maintain their physical bodies without work, says Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. It's a kind of torture when people can't do their work. However, it's not enough. There has to be Vasudeva Arpanam. You have to be working and giving away some of what you're doing to Vasudeva. Otherwise, even the work won't make you feel happy. So this is the secret to Grihastha life. You have these objects of enjoyment around you, but everything has to be engaged in Krishna's service somehow or other. Then we can become happy. Prabhupada told Grihasthas they should give 50% of their income, but if you can't do that, at least give some portion of it to Krishna. And also those Grihasthas who are going out on Sankirtan or dedicating, huge portions of their time to doing deity worship and so forth, they're Vasudeva Arpanam. There's no doubt about it. Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuya yakalpate. One who constantly engages in devotional service, and constantly means at least every day you do your program complete. that devotee will rise above the modes of material nature and come to the level of Brahman. And Prabhupada mentioned, I probably told you this a few times because the point struck me so profoundly, and that is, in the ocean of material nature, you don't have to be way above the ocean to not drown. You just have to be at least 1 inch above it. So don't stay down in the water, whatever you do, get above it somehow. And it's by hearing Bhagavatam and doing the other spiritual activities. Any other comments?
Whereas there's a comment on Facebook.
Okay, let's hear it.
It's from Ronak.
Oh yeah.
He said, what an incredible point regarding decision making, Gurudev. If we are regulated and work the program, then we would be able to make decisions. Thanks for the nuggets.
Yeah, decisions are become fortified and inspired by hearing from Srimad Bhagavatam, and Prabhupada's purports are so commonsensical. You know what the kind of the tenor of his mood and his thinking, and you can assume that same kind of mood and tenor when you're making decisions, and you'll feel much more confident. Okay, great. I'm going to continue on with the next verse. This is text 3 and 4. Shrinvan Bhagavato Bhikshnam Avatara Katamritam Shradadano Yata Kalam Upashanta Janavrita Satsangach Chaunakai Sangam Atma Jayat Majarishu Vimuchen Muchyamaneshu Swayam Swapnavad Utita. Shrinvan means hearing, Bhagavata of the Lord, Bhikshnam, or actually it's hyphen Abhikshnam, which means always. So Shrinvan Bhagavato Bhikshnam, which means always hearing about the Lord. Then we have, hey Sadhu, Avatara Katamritam. I really like this phrase, Avatara Kata. Mritam means the nectar. So the avatars are mentioned throughout the Bhagavatam. Avatar, Ava means downward, someone who comes from up to down. Avatara, they descend for our benefit. And when avatars come into the world, actually, they open a channel to the spiritual world. That's how we find our way back to the spiritual worlds, through the avatars. So when they come to they come to this material world, and they do their lila here, and then from that place where they did their lila, there's a channel that goes directly back to the spiritual world, just like Mayapur and Vrindavan and Puri and Tirupati, all these places where the Lord makes his avatar. Then if you go there, that's the place from which you can go straight back up to the spiritual world by their mercy. And so the Katha, Avatara Katamritam, the nectar of hearing about the avatars of the Lord. Shradadhana means being very faithful in hearing about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yata Kalam, according to time. Generally, a grahastha can find time in the evening or in the afternoon. Isn't that nice? Prabhupada puts his extra notes there. Upashanta, completely relieved of material activities. Jana, by persons. Avrita, being surrounded. Satsangat, from such good association. Shanakai, gradually. Sangam, association. Atma, in the body. Jaya, wife. Atmaja adishu, as well as in children. Atmaja means those who come from oneself. They're born from oneself. That's our children. Vimunchet, one should get free from the attachment for such association. Muchamanishu, being severed from him. Swayam, personally. Swapnavat, like a dream. Utita, awakened. A grahastha must associate again and again with saintly persons, and with great respect he must hear the nectar of the activities of the Supreme Lord and his incarnations, as these activities are described in Srimad Bhagavatam and other Puranas. Thus, one should gradually become detached from affection for his wife and children, exactly like a man awakening from a dream. Srila Prabhupada's purport: the Krishna consciousness movement has been established to give grihastas all over the world an opportunity to hear Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita specifically. The process, as described in many ways, is one of hearing and chanting. Shrimvatam sva Katha Krishna punya shravana kirtana. Everyone, especially the grihastas who are mudhadi, ignorant about the goal of life, should be given opportunities to hear about Krishna. Simply by hearing, by attending lectures in the different centers of the Krishna consciousness movement, where topics of Krishna from Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam are discussed, they will be purified of their sinful inclination for constant indulgence in illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling, which have all become prominent in modern days. Thus, they can be raised to the status of light, punya shravana kirtana, simply by joining the kirtan, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And by hearing about Krishna from Bhagavad Gita, one must be purified, especially if he also takes prasad. This is all going on in the Krishna consciousness movement. Haribo! Join the right movement. Another specific description here is Shrinvan Bhagavato Ikshnam, Avatara Katamritam. It is not that because one has once finished Bhagavad Gita, he should not hear it again. The word abhikshnam is very important. We should hear again and again. There is no question of stopping. Even if one has read these topics many times, he should go on reading again and again, because Bhagavad Katha, the words spoken by Krishna and spoken by Krishna's devotees about Krishna, are amritam, nectar. The more one drinks this amritam, the more he advances in his eternal life. The human form of life is meant for liberation, but unfortunately, due to the influence of Kali Yuga, every day the grihastas are working hard like asses. Early in the morning, they rise and travel even 100 miles away to earn bread. Especially in the Western countries, I have seen that people awaken at 5 o'clock to go to offices and factories to earn their livelihood. People in Calcutta and Bombay also do this every day. They work very hard in the office or factory, and again, they spend 3 or 4 hours in transportation returning home. Then they retire at 10 o'clock and again rise early in the morning to go to their offices and factories. This kind of hard labor is described in the Shastras as the life of pigs and stool eaters. Nayam deho deha bhajan nirloke kashtan kamam arhate vidbujam ye. Of all living entities who have accepted material bodies in this world, one who has been awarded this human form should not work hard day and night simply for sense gratification, which is available even for dogs and hogs that eat stool. That's an important verse. It's in the 5th canto, 5th chapter, verse number 1, the first instruction that Rishabhadeva gives to his sons. One must find some time for hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. This is Vedic culture. One should work 8 hours at the most to earn his livelihood. And either in the afternoon or in the evening, a householder should associate with devotees to hear about the incarnations of Krishna and his activities, and thus be gradually liberated from the clutches of Maya. However, instead of finding time to hear about Krishna, the householders, after working hard in offices and factories, find time to go to a restaurant or a club, where instead of hearing about Krishna and his activities, they are very much pleased to hear about the political activities of demons and non-devotees, and to enjoy sex, wine, women, and meat eating, and in this way waste their time. This is not grihastha life, but demoniac life. The Krishna consciousness movement, however, with its centers all over the world, gives such fallen and condemned persons an opportunity to hear about Krishna. In a dream, we form a society of friendship and love, and when we awaken, we see that it has ceased to exist. Similarly, one's gross society, family, and love are also a dream, and this dream will be over as soon as one dies. Therefore, whether one is dreaming in a subtle way or a gross way, these dreams are all false and temporary. One's real business is to understand that one is soul, aham brahmasmi, and that his activities should therefore be different. Then one can be happy. Brahma bhuta prasannatma, nashochati nakangshati, samak sarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labate param. One who is transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments nor desires to have anything. He is equally disposed toward all living entities. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. That's from Bhagavad Gita 1854. One who is engaged in devotional service can very easily be liberated from the dream of materialistic life. So again, this verse mentions swayam swapnavad utita. Swapnavat, like a dream. Swapna is a dream, is like a dream. Utita is awakened. So this spiritual life is like awakening from a dream. And it's not a good dream, actually. It's extremely frustrating. Because like in a dream at night, we see that whatever we're pursuing, whatever we get, it starts to morph into something else very quickly. And in so-called awakened life, in this material life, things change all the time too. People take it for granted that why are we growing old? Nobody asks. They just try to counteract it as much as possible. But it's a really strange phenomenon. And the relationships we have change. People we love, they suddenly disappear. This is a disturbing kind of dream. It's not natural at all. So one wakes up from that dream and realizes one's permanent position. In Gita, Krishna assures us that there's a world that's constitutionally different from this world. Parastasmatu bhavonyo vyakto vyaktat sanatanaha yaksat sarveshu bhuteshu nashyatsu navinashyati. When this world is destroyed, and there are very different kinds of destructive forces in this world, besides viruses, and there's a way that there's a continuous destruction going on in this material world, and then there are partial annihilations of the material world, and then complete at the end. There's a cataclysmic event where wind and fire, and then water, and the whole thing becomes decomposed. It's taken back into the body of Mahavishnu, and we're there for billions of years before we come back out again. So this is not a very congenial environment for us. But Krishna says, Parastasmatu bhavonyo, there's a superior nature to this. So it's not destroyed when this material world is destroyed. So one can become fascinated with that idea, and by the process of bhakti, one can then start to associate with that spiritual world through sound, and then develop one's relationship. Even as we walk in this destructive material world, we can be aloof because we already are rooted in the spiritual world. We're connected to it. And the more that we steadily maintain the process of bhakti by hearing and chanting and serving, being Vasudeva Arpanam, giving of ourselves in service to Krishna and the devotees, then we naturally become situated in the spiritual world. This is Tanama Rupa Charitari Sukirtananu Smrityo Kramena Rasanamanasini Yoja. Tishtan Vraje, we come situated in Vraj, actually, as we're hearing from the devotees in our line of disciplic succession, Rupa, Sanatan, and all the other representatives coming down through Srila Prabhupada, and the present day devotees who have imbibed this same mood. When we hear and associate with them, then we also become established in that spiritual world in Vraja by that process. Now we'll take a few comments or questions about this verse. There's a lot here. Go ahead, Mukaravinda Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I really like how one phrase they called dreaming in a subtle way or gross way. These dreams are all false and temporary. Prabhupada summarized in one line every whole story of. I really found it very deep, subtle way or
Yes,
gross way.
that's true. Yeah. Thank you very much. Did anybody notice this point? Shrinvan Bhagavato Bhikshnam Avatara Katamritam. Prabhupada writes, it is not that because one has once finished Bhagavad Gita, he should not hear it
Yes,
again.
I
The
noticed.
word Bhikshnam is important. We should hear it again and again. There's no question
again.
of stopping, right?
Yes, I noticed.
Yeah, you notice that. So that there's no end to the Bhagavad Gita. We hear it again and again and again throughout our lives. And the more times we can complete it by having a regulated program of hearing, the deeper we're able to penetrate and to be able to advance in bhakti. What else?
We have a few comments on Facebook. Maharaj.
Okay, let's hear the comments on Facebook.
So we have Dilip Bhai Patel on Facebook, and
Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, it's a routine right now to listen to your wonderful Krishna Katha, as we now have lots of time. Thank you for giving us this opportunity.
Thanks for joining. Takes two to tango.
Then we have Preeti Radhika Dasi. She's saying Avatar descends and opens a channel for others to go back home like the dhams. No wonder when we visit dham, we feel transported and it's hard to leave the dham. Also, this was so wonderful that with Krishna Katha, we can be in this material world, but rooted in spiritual world like a lotus flower.
Yes, that's true. And furthermore, the Bhagavatam is an avatar also. Krishna swadamo pagate dharmaganadi bisaha kalonashta drishamesha punar narko denodita. That just after Krishna departed for his own abode, he's the avatari, he's the source of all the avatars. Then the Bhagavatam appeared. Now Bhagavatam is an avatar. It's appeared in this world. It's made its transcendental descent. Tadvag visargo janataga viplavo yasmin pratishlokam abadyavatyapi namanyanantasya yashonkitani at shrinvanti gayanti gradanti sadhava. Narada confirms this in the 5th chapter of the Bhagavatam, 1st canto, when he says that this is not from this creation, this Bhagavatam. It's a different creation altogether. It's Krishna. It's coming from the spiritual world. So it's avatar also. So you can be in the storm somewhere, but if you're absorbed in Bhagavatam and devoted to Bhagavatam and worshiping Bhagavatam with your body, mind, and words, as is recommended, stanestita shrutigatam tanuvan manobir. Wherever you are situated now on lockdown, don't worry about it. You have a channel right to the spiritual world through Bhagavatam. And what do? Stanestita shrutigatam tanuvan manobir. Tanu means body. Van manobir. With your body, mind, and words, you worship the Bhagavatam. And by that means, the channel opens up and you enter into the spiritual world. It lends new meaning to the phrase, beam me up, Scotty, which some of you might have heard of from the old days. Okay, Manjula Kanta.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, I still remember your statement from yesterday from Srila Prabhupada's Viraha, Vrindavan Bhajan.
Yes.
That eating the mind's bananas. And it just stayed with me all day. We will eat anything the mind offers us when we're bored or we can't focus. So it's really nice. And today's I wanted to thank you because I had a question and you answered it. I was going to ask you that I understand that this material world is so painful, and anyone who's come into Krishna consciousness and following gets a very clear understanding of that part. But we fail to get the other side, which is how wonderful the spiritual dham is. We understand what we're trying to let go of, but we don't understand where we're trying to get. And then you read for us today that, it just stay in there, keep reading, and it will slowly, you'll be able to connect. I really liked your lecture today because it answered that question.
Oh, good, Manjula Kanta. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's important. Yes, please go ahead.
I have a practical question though.
Okay.
That, more than ever, we have family and it looks like the world is connecting much more than ever before. Like you said, you get more calls, more contacts. And everybody wants to talk about something that's not really spiritually beneficial to you. Sometimes as a family member or a person, you have to sound supportive to them. But we're just wasting time, like you said, on topics of irrelevance and and no importance. Is it okay to just distract them and get away? Or should we do our service by staying there and listening to them? Okay, Maharaj.
Get one of those. Claim your time. One of the things I talked to a corporate audience this morning about how to survive at home. And there were several points. I'll read them to you from the talk this morning. These are 5 ways you can survive at home. First is get your do not disturb sign, because it really is powerful. I carry this with me wherever I go. And once you hang it up, everyone starts to take your time and space seriously, because you claim your time. It's your thing. The second is make sure that you have a tight morning routine. Make sure it's airtight. So because if people see you, if you're around others and they see there's gaps in your routine, they'll move right in. And so, so will your mind and everyone else in the universe. And the third is to set ground rules for people in your space. So let people know this is how I operate when I'm at home. I have to have my time. I'll give you the compassionate time, but I'm not just open for unlimited answering questions, phone calls, and things like that. The other thing is schedule some breaks into your day, so you know when the breaks are, and everybody else knows when you're available on a break, if that's the kind of break you want to have. And the fifth is to dedicate some space for your work and for your spiritual practice. Demarcate that this is where I work, and this is where I do my spiritual practice, and try to keep distractions down as much as possible. Okay?
Yes, Maharaj, will do.
5 tips, free of charge.
Maharaj, Amit Goswami Prabhu also has a question.
Amit Goswami, we got all the heavy hitters on tonight. Okay, go ahead.
So his question is that how should one bring the potency of the Dham with oneself, so that same ease of doing sadhana is available when one is not in the Dham?
Well, when you're in the Dham, you try to serve the Dham, and then when you come back, you serve the Dham by engaging in the process of spreading the Krishna consciousness movement to the best of your ability. Shushu Shradhanasya Vasudeva Katha Ruchi Syan Mahat Seveya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishevana. We're never really separated from the Dham. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, you should always live in Vrindavan. But if you can't live there physically, you should live there within your heart. And even if you live there physically, you should live there within your heart, which means through proper association and service and hearing and chanting. You have to be properly aligned. So when you come back, then if you're properly aligned, you have some service that you're doing, you're not separate from the Dham. Prabhupada used to, as he was traveling everywhere, he would feel separation from Vrindavan, but he was never really separated from it, because through his mood, he was actually bringing Vrindavan with him in his heart. Bhavad vida bhagavatas tirtha bhuta swayam vibo tirtha kurvanti tirtani svantak stena gadabrata. This verse comes in the first canto of the Bhagavatam, when Yudhishthir tells Vidura that you are a walking place of pilgrimage. In other words, the Dham is within your heart, because you've developed to that point where you have love for Krishna in your heart. And when that's there, wherever such a devotee goes, he or she never feels separation, feels separation from the Dham, but is never separated from it. And others get affected by the association of such a person. So the short answer, or shorter-ish, is to stay aligned with your service to Guru and Krishna, and hear and chant in the association of devotees. And by that process, you'll be aligned with the Dham. You'll bring it back with you. Thank you, Amit Prabhu.
Well, there's another comment on YouTube, and this was from a little while ago. from Richa Gupta Mataji. And
Oh, Richa, how nice, from Pune.
yes, and she's reflecting that if we cannot take austerity willingly, it'll come forcefully.
It sounds like a personal realization. Yeah, haven't we all realized?
Yeah.
Yes. So preemptively offering oneself. This is like if you take up fasting on the holy days, like you say, I'm going to fast on Ekadashi. It's like I'll just do it myself. Don't impose it upon me. But when you do it preemptively, then you start to get some ecstasy because you're thinking, I'm doing this for Krishna. I'm taking a little trouble for Krishna here. And in all the aspects of our life, this tapasya becomes our real wealth and our happiness. Saukyam tvanantam, it leads to unlimited happiness. Who would have thought by taking a little suffering upon oneself for the sake of pleasing Krishna, that one would actually become happy? That's the principle of yajna. Anything else, Shraddha? Yes.
One more, and this is from Mridula Anumukonda from India. And
Nice.
she's saying that this is reminding her, and she has submitted a verse in evidence, which is from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, first chapter. It's the verse number 19, which says that Vayam tuna vitripyama uttam shloke vikrame yat srinvatam rasa jnanam swadu swadu pade pade. We never tire of hearing the transcendental pastimes of the personality of Godhead, who is glorified by hymns and prayers. Those who have developed a taste for transcendental relationships with him relish hearing of his pastimes at every moment.
What a nice verse, Madhula. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, Vayam tuvana vrachitnyama uttama shloka vikrame yet shinvatam rasagyanam swadu swadu pade pade. This is the mood, someone who's advancing in devotional service. These sages at Naimisharanya, when they started hearing from Sutta Goswami, now they're feeling this, I don't want to stop. And this is what it means to be absorbed. When you don't want to stop, when you can't wait to start again with your hearing and chanting, and you're feeling this is nectar at every minute. Vayam tu navatripyama, they're actually tasting something higher, and they all know it. That absorption is what moves us forward in Krishna consciousness. So we have to get to that kind of absorption. We can't be in niyamagraha where we're doing the activity, but we're not getting the absorption. Then we're in torture mode, which means I'm doing what, I'm doing this stuff, but I'm not getting anything from it. That won't help. So we have to make arrangements, readjust so that we can actually get that absorption and get that taste. Swadu, swadu, pade, pade, every step becomes sweeter and sweeter. Any other questions or reflections?
There is one question. Yeah, sorry.
Sadhu Vrindavan, Haribo.
Haribol.
Hey, there's the man himself, Hare Krishna.
Haribol. So you said that association of devotees are important. And could I share a story regarding that?
We insist upon it.
So there is this great Sri Vaisesika called Jamunacharya, and he was a very great devotee. So in his kingdom, like village where he lived, there was this great scholar who defeated everybody he debated with. And so the scholar defeated Jamunacharya's teacher. And so the scholar had a condition that whoever he defeats, they have to pay taxes to him. So he defeated everybody, and since he defeated his teacher, and the teacher didn't have any money, so he couldn't pay any taxes. So Jamunacharya went to debate with the great scholar. The king said if Jamunacharya beat the scholar, he would give half of his kingdom to him. So Jamunacharya debated with the great scholar and won. And so he got half of the kingdom. And then he got attached to the kingly affairs and forgot about doing devotional service. And for many years, he was doing his kingly affairs. And then his grandfather, he was also a very great devotee. He sent one of his disciples. He sent one of his disciples to bring back Jamunacharya into devotional service. And so he came as his chef. To the king, and he was a very good cook. so the king started spending more time with him, and the disciple of the disciple would say tell like verses from the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam every day. And then once he took him into the temple of Lord Ranganath into Lord Ranganath, and when Jamanacharya saw the deity, he he got transformed, and he got transformed, and he became a devotee. He gave half of his, I think, he gave some percent of his kingdom to the Lord Ranganath, and he made made his he gave the kingdom to his ministers control, and he rose to become one of the greatest Sri Vaishnava acharyas today. So that's why I think Sri devotee association is very important in our lives, and yeah.
That's very important. There's a way in which Vaishnavas go out of their way to assist others who may have gone off the path of devotional service. That's one of the benefits of associating with devotees, that even if somehow or other, like Kala Krishna Das was an associate of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but near the end of Mahaprabhu's tour of South India, Kala Krishna Das of Vrindavan, rather, he got deviated, got captured by Bhattaharis, and then Mahaprabhu brought him back. But when they got back to Puri, Mahaprabhu rejected him. But Nityananda Prabhu and several other devotees conspired to bring him back into service. So devotees go out of their way to help us, even when there's a deviation or a slip from devotional service. Excellent story. Thank you, Sadhu Vrindavan. Hare Krishna. So I'm going to read one more verse, and then we'll start winding down. This is text number 5. Is everyone okay?
Yes.
Yes, Maharaj.
You're all right?
Getting better.
Okay, super good and getting better. Outstanding, but still improving. Text number 5. Yavad artam upasino dehe gehe chapandita virakto raktavat tatra nriloke naratam nyase. Yavad artam, as much endeavor for one's livelihood as necessary. Upasina, earning. Dehe, in the body. Gehe, in family matters. Cha, also. Pandita, one who is learned. Virakta, not at all attached. Raktavat, as if very much attached. Tatra, in this. Nriloke, human society. Naratam, the human form. Nyaset, one should depict. So here's a translation. While working to earn his livelihood as much as necessary to maintain body and soul together, one who is actually learned should live in human society unattached to family affairs, although externally appearing very much attached. Purport. That externally appearing, so you'll notice in the word for word, raktavat, as if very much attached. Virakta, although he's not attached at all, externally he's attached. This is the picture of ideal family life. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Ramananda Roy about the goal of life, Ramananda Roy described it in different ways according to the recommendations of the revealed scriptures. And finally, Sri Ramananda Roy explained that one may stay in his own position, whether as a Brahmana, a Shudra, a sannyasi, or whatever. But one must try to inquire about life's goal. Patato Brahma Jignasa. This is the proper utilization of the human form of life. When one misuses the gift of the human form by unnecessarily indulging in the animal propensities of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, and does not try to get out of the clutches of Maya, which subjects one to repeated birth, death, old age, and disease, one is again punished by being forced to descend to the lower species and undergo evolution according to the laws of nature. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha. Being completely under the grip of material nature, the living entity must evolve again from the lower species to the higher species until he at last returns to the human life and gets the chance to be freed from material clutches. A wise man, however, learns from the Shastras and Guru that we living entities are all eternal, but are put into troublesome conditions because of associating with different modes under the laws of material nature. He therefore concludes that in the human form of life, he should not endeavor for unnecessary necessities, but should live a very simple life, just maintaining body and soul together. Certainly one requires some means of livelihood, and according to one's varna and ashrama, this means of livelihood is presented in the Shastras. One should be satisfied with this. Therefore, instead of hankering for more and more money, a sincere devotee of the Lord tries to invent some ways to earn his livelihood, and when he does so, Krishna helps him. Earning one's livelihood, therefore, is not a problem. The real problem is how to get free from the bondage of birth, death, old age, and birth, death, and old age. Attaining this freedom and not inventing unnecessary necessities is the basic principle of Vedic civilization. One should be satisfied with whatever means of life comes automatically. The modern materialistic civilization is just the opposite of the ideal civilization. Every day, the so-called leaders of modern society invent something contributing to a cumbersome way of life that implicates people more and more in the cycle of birth and death, old age, and disease. I have to read one more. This is Gyataya Pitarau Putra Bhartara Suridopare Yad Vadanti Yadichanti Chanu Modeta Nirmama. Gyataya, relatives, family members. Pitarau, the father and mother. Putra, children. Bratara, brothers. Sorida, friends. Apare, and others. Yat, whatever. Vadanti. Apare must mean cousins. Vadanti, they suggest in regard to one's means of livelihood. Yet, whatever Ichshanti, they wish, Cha, and Anumodita, he should agree, near Mama, but without taking them seriously. Oh, you're going to love this. Are you ready? Say yes. An intelligent man in human society should make his own program of activities very simple. If there are suggestions from his friends, children, parents, brothers, or anyone else, he should externally agree, saying, yes, that is all right. But internally, he should be determined not to create a cumbersome life in which the purpose of life will not be fulfilled. Such refined instructions, right exactly where we need them, isn't it? Doesn't that address even, what you asked earlier about this point of how to deal with people taking up your space and all that? Yes, very good, very good. Now I got to go. See you later. Okay, let's take some last reflections or questions. Work with me, devotees.
So Maharaj, there's a question on Facebook.
Okay, Facebook is coming up pretty strong tonight.
Trending today.
Let's hear it for the Facebook devotees. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, this question is from Bhaktin Kamla. And this is about the Dincharya lecture that you mentioned in the class today. So she's saying, thank you for your class every evening. We look forward to it. This is completely new, Maharaj, to have a child with you 24/7 and to do the daily sadhana. It's extremely challenging. I would love to follow the 5 principles, but when I have a 5-year-old demanding my time, how do I do? I'm sure it's not just me, but many are feeling this.
Yeah. I went for a walk today and I saw everyone's out with their kids. And I was thinking that this is the greatest austerity possible. Like the mothers and who are taking care of the kids all day long, you're like great yogis who go to the Himalaya and sit in meditation in a cave without moving. I mean, it's commensurate with that kind of austerity. So first of all, it's a temporary situation. This too shall pass. So try to make the most of it, whatever you have, and realize that actually for the children, it's going to be a memorable thing. They'll remember the time when they had 24/7 with their parents, with their mothers and stuff like that. And think in terms of seva. Don't think, and I don't think you do, but I'm just saying the principle is, think of, I'm a servant, and whatever happens, I'm just serving. And the moment we start thinking like, why can't I be comfortable? What happens to my conveniences in life and things like that? Then we become impatient and it's very difficult. So the trick is always in any circumstance, and when the modes shift, the modes have shifted right now. That's what's happening. It's just shifting modes. Then you have to take shelter of a transcendental mood, which is, I'm a servant. And when you become pliable and you think in the terms of seva, how can I serve? Here's another living entity. It's appeared, I'm serving. Then you look at it a different way. Just think like, I'm the servant of this person. And so I'm going to do everything I can. Just like if you're serving a king, and the king, called on you 24 hours and say, hey, come here, do this, do that. You just do it. Devotees used to serve Prabhupada like that 24/7. So you take that mood of service and you'll see it can be a nice adjustment. It will help. Thank you very much, everybody, for your kind attention to the Srimad Bhagavatam. I liked how Prabhupada mentioned how those in the old days used to come together here, Bhagavatam, morning and evening. That's what made them transcendental. The Vasudeva Arpanam. So you've done that so nicely. And now we're going to sing a song just so we can go away even happier than we are now. Radha Krishna bol bol, bola re shobai. Radha Krishna bol bol, bola re shobai. Eshika dia, shabna dia, preche neche gorni kai. Hari bol, bolo re shika dia. Radha Krishna bol bol, bolo re shobai. Shishi Radha Krishna bol bol, bolo re shobai. Miche maya boshe, chacho beshe, kacho habudu bubai. Miche maya boshe, chacho beshe, kacho habudu bubai. Hari bol, bolo re miche maya boshe. Radha Krishna bol bol, bolo re shobai. Shishi Radha Krishna bol bol, bolo re shobai. Jiv Krishna Das, e Vishwas, kole to ardu ko nai. Hari bol, bolo re Jiv Krishna Das. Radha Krishna bol bol, bolo re shobai. Shishi Radha Krishna bol bol, bolo re shobai. Krishna bolve jabe, pulaka habe, jorbi anki boli tai. Krishna bolve jabe, pulaka habe, jorbi anki boli tai. Hari bol, bolo Krishna bolve jabe. Radha Krishna bol bol, bolo re shobai. Shishi Radha Krishna bol bol, bolo re shobai. Radha Krishna bolo, shange cholo, e matra bikaha chai. Radha Krishna bolo, shange cholo, e matra bikaha chai. Hari bol, bolo Radha Krishna Shri Shri Radha Krishna Bol Bol Bolo Re Shobhai Jai Shakal Vipod Bhakti Vinod Bolen Chakon Om Nam Gai Jai Shakala Vipod Bhakti Vinod Bolen Chakon Om Nam Gai Haribo Bolo Re Jai Shakla Vipod Haribo Bolo Re Jai Shakla Vipod Radha Krishna Bolo Re Shobhai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Bolo Re Shobhai Jai Shakla Vipod Bhakti Vinod Bolen Chakla Nam Kai Radha Krishna Bolo Shangi Cholo He Matra Vikaha Chai Krishna Bole Jave Pula Kahave Korbe Hanki Bole Taiji Krishna Das E Vishwas Bole To Aduko Nai Niche Mayar Boshe Jacho Veshe Kacho Habu E Shikariya Shabdariya Preche Niche Haribo 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 Dai Goda Haribo Dai Goda Haribo 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 Dai Goda Haribo Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare everybody Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribhada Kacharya Stotra Shishiman Abhay Charanara Vinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paribhada Kacharya Stotra Shishiman Shila Bhakti Gosai Maharaj Ananta Koti Vaishnava Acharya Shila Harira Sakro Ki
Jai.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasana
Jai. Jai. Jai.
Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Shri Mayapur Navadip Dham Ki Shri Jagatpuri Dham Ki Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jamuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Samaveda Bhakti Vrindi Ki All glories to some of the devotees. All glories to some of the devotees. Can everyone unmute, please? All glories to some of the devotees.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hari Bol.
Krishna,
Nitai
Hare
Gaura Hari Bol.
Hare Rama Rama Hare
Haribo.
Hari Bol.
Haribo.
Haribo.
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Haribo. Hare Krishna.
Haribo. Say Haribo.
Haribo. Thank you, Vaish Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Can you end the
Hari
Zoom
Bol.
call on my phone?
Haribo.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for the class.
Jai.
Thank you so much for the class.
Shelter at home ki jai.
Jai. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
It's not in Bhagavad Gita.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you for joining, and I'll be signing off the conference now.
Jai. Hari Bol.